Hi everyone, this is the E-mini S&P 500 futures. I'm using a 2000 tick chart and a 21 EMA. I've got my overnight high up here and my overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. And I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. So starting off, we have these two legs down. So on a big picture, this is a first entry long and then second entry long. And when we start pushing up here, it's pretty clear that we're making this double bottom. Now, this is our overnight low level. So when we push on up here, this is a great place for a reversal pattern. So that would be a failed second entry, pushing above the EMA. So a nice push up, a couple legs back, failed second entry. That would be the most ideal. But in this case here, when we push above, it just starts getting choppy, and we go into this little choppy range right here before pushing on lower. So, it just doesn't set up here. And so when we push on lower here, this measured move is met. So when we have this measured move in play, it's important to understand that this does act as a magnet. Price is attracted to it. And so after this downtrend has its break, it only has one attempt at a new low. Now, price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. So let me go over the first price action level. You clearly have this leg down, and then you have this break, and you have one attempt lower, and then you do have this second attempt lower. But you can still tell that this is one move on a bigger picture. And so when you get this push lower here, this is the second attempt at that measured move. So you have this downtrend break, that first downtrend sets the measured move, and then you have your first attempt lower and then second attempt lower. And on that second attempt lower, we met that measured move and ended up pushing a little bit through it here, or quite a bit through it. And so at this point, we are broken out of the overnight low. Now, this is basically like a range low, so we can expect price to attempt to fade back in. And so if we start pushing up and say we fade back in, we can look to get in on the fade. Very common to get a reversal pattern after a fade. Just like I was wanting a reversal pattern from here off of the overnight low, sometimes you'll push on out and then fade back in with a reversal pattern. But in this case here, we push on up and we just, we end up not forming it. But what I was going to say, I almost got sidetracked there, was if we get two attempts to fade, we can look to get short on the breakout, because second entries, they form all over the chart. The market moves in pairs of twos. And so if you get two attempts to fade and you still have not faded yet, then you want to look to get in on the breakout. And so in this case here, we get this push up, break, we start making a second push up. Of course, it's forming this one trend here. And so it's one leg on a bigger picture. And then we get this push off of it. And so we have one clear attempt to fade at this point. Now, when we push lower here, what we could get is another clear attempt to fade and then look to get short. And so when we push up here, it's uptrend, break, and then price attempting to make a new high. But we don't get any clear entries here. It really just kind of just gets choppy. You don't want to enter right into that EMA. It only has that one attempt. It could easily make that second attempt, especially considering that when you look at it like two legs up, this second leg is not nearly as big as this first leg, and so price is likely going to make a second attempt at that new high, just like we had here, downtrend, break, and then first attempt lower, second attempt lower. What you can possibly get is uptrend, break, first attempt higher, and then second attempt higher. And so you don't want to enter right into the EMA. It can't get below it. It starts getting choppy. Even by the time it closes below there, it's already completely sideways. Nothing ideal to take there. We push on lower here, and now we find this measured move, and price starts pushing up at it. And so we start finding support at it. And so now we have a two-legged break from this uptrend. So this is a failed second entry. This is a reversal pattern at this point. First entry short, second entry short, and then failure. But you cannot enter right into the overnight low. This is a pattern that you would want to see pushing above and then holding on top of this overnight low. Because once again, when you're getting a fade, it'll very commonly make a reversal pattern, but it did just reject the overnight low twice. You had one rejection and then second rejection right there. And so that's not ideal on reversing back in, and you certainly don't want to enter directly into it. You're not off of any support, even though you're off of that measured move right there. It's pushing off of the overnight low. So you're off the measured move, but it doesn't matter really. So anyway, it does end up pushing on higher there, but it's just too risky to enter into that stuff. And then of course this higher low, no reason to take that. You just pushed off of the overnight low again, and pushed back below the EMA, you have no idea that it's going to be able to get through there. But it does end up pushing on up here, and we reach this measured move. So notice we have these two legs up here, and we start finding some resistance at it, start going into this range right here. And you can see we have a couple attempts down before pushing higher there, but it doesn't set up anything clear. It's very choppy in there. And we push on up here, and we reach the overnight high. Now, when we reach the overnight high, it's very possible to go into a reversal pattern from there. We start pushing lower here, but this wider trend does hold. I kind of moved that out of place a bit. It breaks out of it a little bit there, but when it pushes on up, then you can just tell it's clearly still part of that same trend. Just extend the channel a bit. And then we break out here. Once again, like I was saying, you want to see 2 attempts to fade before you buy the breakout. Now you get first attempt and then second attempt right here, but it's obviously completely sideways going into this little range. You don't want to enter on that, but it does end up pushing on higher. It doesn't mean it'll do that next time. And from here, we get first entry long, second entry long. It starts to get choppy pretty quickly here. Also, like I said, when you get these little breakouts, you can look to extend the channel, see how it holds, adjust the highs. And so we get this first entry long. Even though it's off the key entry point, you don't want to take a first entry long. It's just not worth it. So anyway, we push on up here. We get a second entry. It pushes below the EMA. I don't like that because, just like I was saying, you want to see 2 attempts to fade before going long. You do have 2 pushes down there, but considering you have this measured move in play down to this overnight low, or excuse me, overnight high, and like I said, measured moves act as magnets, and so do overnight levels. So you can expect 2 attempts, or you want to see 2 attempts to fade before going long. If you got 2 legs retesting the overnight high, that would be a good support level. You'd expect a new high from this uptrend, and it'd be at that measured move. But you don't want to, you just don't want to enter it right here because it could tick higher and then push on lower and then give you a setup down here anyway. And then you'd be stopped out up here. But in this case here, it does end up pushing higher. Sometimes whenever there's tempting looking setups that aren't perfect and you can't take them and then you see them work, it can be annoying at first, but that really is just part of it. You see a second entry long right there with a good signal bar above the EMA, and then you see it work like that, but it doesn't mean it's going to work like that next time. You got to look at the bigger picture context. So anyway, we do get that break, push up to a new high, so uptrend, break, new high, and then price starts pushing on lower here. Now, we start pushing this leg down. Again, considering this uptrend just played out, while we're broken out of the overnight high, a reversal pattern is likely. And we push on lower here. We start finding some kind of support and start going sideways a bit. And we start pushing lower again, start getting choppy. We've pushed back into the overnight low, but no setup so far. It's just been choppy on the way down. And so we get this push on up and then a sudden push back down. So now we're making these 2 legs down here. And so we're fading back in, we have 2 legs down, and then right here, notice that we start going sideways and making this range. So this measured move is still in play. We just faded, and so considering the push from the fade and this measured move magnet that's still in play, I want to look for a short here. And we do get a second entry short, but it is pretty choppy, and so notice what I have right here, limit order. This is a limit order trade. You want to use limit order on this because if you use a stop order, look how far out you're going to have to push your target from these lows. Now, it does end up reaching down there, but you don't know that it's going to do that. Okay, so, sorry, let me just get that back to where it was. So, it's a limit order trade. It's really clear chop right there. You don't want to expect it to push through it, but considering the fade, we just pushed on in. You can, and also when you fade, just like in a channel, when price bounces off one side, you can expect it to try to reach the other side. Same thing in a range. Now, this range, obviously, it didn't hold perfectly, but these are the overnight levels. These are very important to have marked. Excuse me. And so I kind of got, I forgot exactly what I was going into there, but basically we're fading. So we have the momentum from the fade. The measured move is still in play. Second entry, limit order is needed. We can expect price to just get to the other side, but we're not pushing price through this low though, because we don't know that it's going to go through that low. And so anyway, we push on lower here. We reach this low of this channel. We have a little overshoot. Now overshoots lead to breaks, and we do get a slight break here, but it does actually push on down right after. So it really does hold. So in this case here, it just basically led into a sharp spike, but the channel recovered. And so we could push into a failed second entry from here, a little small one, and continue with this downtrend, but it just doesn't happen, because at this point when we overshot, we also met this measured move, and so it's very common to reverse that measured moves. But like I said, this ended up holding, so we could have gotten some kind of reversal pattern, or I don't mean to say reversal pattern, I mean to say failed second entry. Failed second entries and reversal patterns are not exactly the same thing, but a reversal pattern is a failed second entry at a common reversal area. So like this is a reversal pattern. Like I said, it's not a perfect one here, but it's a reversal pattern because it's a failed second entry at a common reversal area, which is this overnight low. Now, it is also possible that, say you're going into a trend, it's possible for price to make a failed second entry, to continue with the trend. So one time someone was asking me about that, so just in case anyone else is wondering about that. Anyway, we push on lower here, and we go into this trend. We get this, thin little push down, continue overshooting this. You can look to extend it. When you get an overshoot and then price holds on the other side, you can look to extend those lows and see how they hold. But in this case here, it just pushes on through again, starts getting choppy, and then we start going into this wider channel right here. And so first leg down, break, second leg down, but you can still tell that it's one channel on a bigger picture. And now we're getting this break. We could just be getting a couple legs attempting to fade. So like, look at this. Let me zoom out. If we get 2 attempts to fade, then we'd have our 2 attempts to fade. It'd be good to start looking to go short, but also from here where this trend starts, we would have a failed second entry. So first entry long, second entry long, and then we can look to get in on the failure with a short. And so we would have confluence from this downtrend and the 2 attempts to fade the overnight level. So we could get something like that very soon. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.